Hey, this is the Fort Worth Playboy, and welcome to our podcast. It's I, the Fort Worth Playboy, and
my Playboys Bunny.
And in our podcast, we'll be covering pickup, attraction, game, relationships, and sex.
Sex.
Yes. And so let's get right into today's topic. What I received today was a very serious question that through my DMs on Twitter that is very common, especially with younger guys, and by younger we mean under 40. And we want to discuss that today. We've gone around and around on this probably 2 or 3 times because there's a lot of nuances to this subject when it comes to what this gentleman said. You know, my girlfriend said that she wanted to come off birth control, and I'll read the question to you. But it's so nuanced that you kind of have to hash it out vocally, and writing it out doesn't seem to have the same impact.
Yeah.
You know, so everybody's situation is slightly different. And so the basic question that he wrote me was, he's in his mid-20s, he's in a long-term relationship with his girlfriend who's been on birth control the whole relationship around 1 to 2 years, and is now saying she might get off of it. 1, good or bad sign of her attraction towards you. 2, how should I respond? And my first follow-up question was, what is her claimed reason? And what he responded as was mood swings, being emotional, wanting to have kids down the road and not having birth control screw it up. And what are some of the bad reasons for you as a dude for why she may want to do this? And it's a legitimate reason for a lot of girls in their late 20s where they've been on birth control for over a decade, that mood swings, them having trouble getting pregnant after coming off birth control. It's a legitimate reason, but you kind of have to weigh that out. And so the way I responded was, girls get off birth control to get pregnant. There's really no other reason. And if you really don't want to be forced into having a kid right now or within the next 12 months, your immediate response right now should be, not if you want to stay with me. Because it's such a serious line being drawn.
Yeah, this is a girlfriend. This isn't a fiance. They're, according to what the information we have, they're not talking marriage. They're not talking about family. So for her to be getting off birth control now,
she's mentioning it to him, means, what do you say girls do when they've mentioned it to a guy about coming off birth control?
Okay, so my hot take was, first of all, if she's even mentioning it, she's already probably skipping doses if she's on a pill. She's already like going too long, or she's already actually stopped.
Right.
Because, you know, whatever her form of birth control is, she's as good as off of it. Because if you're not very consistent with birth control methods of any form, it's the same as essentially not using birth control at all. So my thought was, if she's even mentioning it, she's already essentially made up her mind.
You're already behind the ball. And here's the thing, is the reason that you have to draw a hard line for this, for guys that are not married, still dating, you know, it's just not a we're moving towards marriage relationship, is quite often the girl has a different agenda than you. Her agenda is to get married and to have a kid. And I've lost count, even in the last 2 or 3 years, how many girls I know that have gotten pregnant outside of marriage and
force the issue.
Yeah, it's a forcing mechanism for girls that are ready to get pregnant and married.
Yeah.
You know, they're always combined, and it's a leverage issue.
And then if the man doesn't, quote unquote, do the right thing and fall in line and get married, then he gets vilified for it.
Right. So in a way, anytime she suggests or comes up with the idea, I'm going to come off birth control for whatever reason, you're in imminent danger of being forced into a position where you're a father. It's not pretty, it's not pleasant, but it's not uncommon. It happens on every strata, every social strata, and girls will, especially those that are marriage minded, and you're 28, 29, and she knows that if you break up with her because she's pushing too hard, She's looking at her next possibility of being married at 32 or 33, and it's looking bad.
Yeah,
Most
it
girls
gets
want to
bleak.
have this done,
Yeah.
by the time they're 30. So the clock's ticking, and suggesting that they're going to come off birth control is really a forcing mechanism. Mm-hmm. So you have to walk through this minefield
Yeah.
very carefully.
Well, and one of the realities is if, like with Playboy just said in the intro, that these are all these reasons that she gave for wanting to get off: mood swings, emotional roller coaster, wanting to have kids sometime down the road, yada yada yada. All of these things are valid reasons for girls to want to get off birth control, but the bottom line is switching birth control methods, changing the pill, changing to a different kind of medication or method is just as effective without putting you or her at risk for getting pregnant before you're prepared or before it's part of the plan.
And don't rely on condoms
No.
and good intentions, because all it takes is one drunken evening, and as you can ask any friends, and now you're fucked, and you're in a bind, because either way you're financially responsible
Yeah.
for 18 years, and mentally you're going to be responsible. So if you're not ready, you as the man are not ready to move in that direction, you have to kind of do a hard line of giving her the option of, you can either change your prescription, find a mechanical means of birth control, or we're not going to be able to stay together.
Yeah.
Because you can't put yourself in a way you're protecting her from herself.
Yeah.
It's good for both of you.
Well, and there are some that kind of see that as him putting an ultimatum out over it, but it's actually the flip. She's putting the ultimatum out by
Exactly.
saying she's going to get off birth control.
Exactly.
It's either I'm going to get off birth control, you can either get in line, or I'm going to get pregnant. Either way, on my timeline. That's essentially what she's saying. So this girl is trying to give him an ultimatum, and this happens
Right.
every day in every
And
way.
especially if she's marriage minded, and you haven't even, it hasn't even crossed your mind.
Yeah.
You're like, I love having regular sex. We have a good relationship. And for most guys, that's as far as they go mentally.
Yeah.
And then the girl's already like, we're going to have 2 kids. We're going to have a Suburban. And,
Yeah.
So when a girl does, if you can prepare yourself mentally, the better. Bring up the topic of her coming off birth control. You remain neutral, but process and just, we'll think about that. But you need to know, because she's going to bring it up at a position at a time when it works for her, not for you.
Exactly.
And then days later or within a week or so, you can bring up that it's non-negotiable, that you're not going to be okay with it.
Yeah.
But it's no reason to blow up at the moment or become emotional or to freak out, because it's an issue that, as long as you approach it carefully, can be worked with. And if she wants to fall in line and follow, so much the better.
Yeah.
But generally, if you're not bringing up marriage, you're not talking about kids, and she starts this, she's starting to force the issue, and it's a leveraging tool, and it's not unusual. I see it all the time. These girls in their late 20s ending up pregnant, and within a year and a half after the child arrives, she's married to the same guy, but he's got his family on his ass.
Yeah.
He's got his friends on his ass, possibly, her friends. So it really comes down to you being strong, keeping your frame,
Yeah.
and approaching this in a mature manner.
Well, it's a very expensive shit test.
It is. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not $1 million over time.
Yeah.
So
Easily.
And that's the least of your concerns at this point. The most important concern is like controlling that situation.
Yeah.
And you guys both remaining healthy and happy, and then running things on your timeline. But just know that all of a sudden the stopwatch has begun.
Oh yeah.
When
well,
she hits it.
If she's mentioning this, the stopwatch began like a month or two
You
ago.
probably have about 6 months of one way or the other, you guys are going to be together or you're going to be apart.
Yeah.
But we always wish our people the best.
Yes.
You know, and I wish
yes.
you the best. And if this comes up, you know, deal with it the best you can, or reach out to us through direct messaging. And we appreciate you guys listening today.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk to you later.